with every big fork, with every exceptional moment that seems so unfair that the gods are looking down and almost cursing you, of where you rise up from that, because that is the profound growth. And all the traders in this book, they have these stories where they're having to either retreat or advance, and every single one of them advances with the skill sets, the learning techniques that we describe in the book. And so 2016 and 17 starts up with a team. The following year has a 7-figure year, had never had a 7-figure year before. All of a sudden, all of those years that he accumulated the spare parts, having the support and the backing of Mario and FCT at the time, which is now Axia Markets Pro, all of a sudden, his wings were able to start flapping. And he was able to truly express himself as a trader, whereas before, there was this constriction.
There was a culture of not giving you size. There was a culture of having to bargain for it. There was a culture of not even understanding what could be possible in terms of, just how much you can grow in the size and so on and so forth. Whereas then he was thrown into an environment where it was the opposite effect, it was getting, not necessarily in case of the razor.
It's like, feed me Seymour, and I was just getting more and more size.
Yeah. Now it's the opposite. Like, they're just throwing size on me. What's going on? And so on. So again, wildly different cultures, approaches, and so on. Because again, the prop firm of tomorrow allows the non-linear operator, the non-linear trader, to leverage exceptional information in keeping with this phrase by thinking of sizing in a non-linear way as well, from a prop perspective.
And just a very recent, what you mentioned about it, just a very recent point. I just spoke to Mario the other day, heads up all the sizing, the risk for the team. And he is going across the team's messaging to the traders who have proven themselves, who have edge, who are consistent, is doubling their size. Doubling their size now because we know now in these so-called Trump markets, the uncertainty that is Trump, the uncertainty that is the American administration, that this type of uncertainty does not exist on a consistent basis over a period of time. And so to exploit this is deploying non-linear sizing towards a team. And this is just a case in point of the sense of occasion.
Exceptional sizing for an exceptional situation for exceptional information. That's how it must be done. And that's probably the best way to summarize all these traders in the book and how the prop firm of the future must evolve. It is not a linear, look at a spreadsheet. Okay, that guy stopped out. Cool. Let's just send them away home. Not even realize that these are, history-making events, extremely wide economic implications and so on and so forth. And, these are the days that we'll be talking about in terms of from a trading perspective for a very long time.
Yeah, there's always that story, right? Do you remember the financial crisis days? Do you remember we will in 10 years time? Do you remember the Trump years? As a trader, you were new junior traders coming in, the senior guys saying, "Oh, we need another Trump." But these are truly that aspect of what released the razor, that non-linear way. That in 2017, as we mentioned right at the beginning, he executed approximately 300 trades. Were in those trades for 240 seconds, and he made over 7 figures.
It was truly a vintage year for the razor. To show the contrast of absolute chaos in his outer exterior life, absolute control within his trading. He still doubled down. I still purchased an office. He still purchased later on when he could, very recent to the time, an apartment in Poland. And as I like to say, I think for you to understand the trader, for you to understand the traders, you also have to look at the space and the desks. We mentioned this in the previous video. That office there, if you want to understand the razor's edge, you're far better, a far better use of your time sometimes might be to look at really deeply at the office to understand what a perfectionist
and this is the office that he created in Poland.
Yes, took 4 years. Someone who handcrafted his desks, built a whole thing from scratch. To him, as we said in the other video, the carpets are as important as trade execution. Perfection is non-negotiable. And for someone who's an obsessive, meticulous person like him, it pervades every aspect of your life. Maybe to his detriment sometimes. But again, what helps you trading hurts your life, and what helps your life hurts your trading. And you can see that with the razor. And to be, to go specifically from his understanding his office, to then understanding his trading. I think what should be extremely emphasized here, Alex, is yes, we're dealing with someone who might on the surface be said as risk averse, who might on the surface can also be said, he seeks safety above all else. But he's someone then who could flip on the switch and go from extreme safety seeking to have the largest testicular fortitude on the floor and put on 1,000 S&P lots within a fraction of a second after watching that trade for a decade, after watching another trade for months and do absolutely nothing and then put on the size. So what we say in the chapter is that he's someone who's not adverse to risk aversion in the classical sense that everyone might look at it at university and learn it through that way. He is someone who is averse to situations of high variance. And his craft is observing, finding instances of the market within market phenomena, patterns, if you want to call it that, where the market can only do so many things. And the market variance, let's say variance is the range of outcomes in similar situations, is so limited, the market can literally do one or two things. And that's the areas, that's the stone he'll be operating under. And that stone is left unturned by many, many traders. So when traders sort of hear about the kind of things he does and trade about, that he trades, it takes on a sort of mythical quality because people just can't believe it can be done. And they never really have it in their worldview that a trader could operate and leverage such a career in such tiny spaces of the market. But within that tiny space, he's created an entire career,
And that entire career, and let's speak about this career that started in the early days during the financial crisis. And what we're going to speak about there is the evolution of strategy. And then we're going to be discussing the burden of strategy. But this evolution of strategy started out as during the financial crisis, retracement trades on the Euro stocks, making money, being consistent, being up in his first year of trading. Following that, then as his expertise and his skills started developing, he started becoming exceptional at order flow anomaly plays, taking 1 to 2 ticks through observing algorithmic behavior that he could trade around and in and out within microseconds, from seeing large orders on the order book to seeing algorithmic plays happening on the order book that he was able to exploit by being in the market in as little time as possible, simply because the longer you're in the market, the more emotional exposure there would be, and that didn't fit his demeanor. So strategies needed to fit him like a suit, as described in the book.